What up, everybody? Welcome to the AudioPod. Awesome. Welcome. We're going to be looking at Scratch programming, and specifically, we're going to be looking at the sound function within Scratch today. So let's get right over there. So here's your scratch.mit.edu, and if you are at all familiar with Scratch programming, then this will be a little bit of a refresher for you. So we're going to actually go in and create a new project. Awesome. So again, what we're going to be focusing on is the sound objects, and specifically we're going to be looking at putting sound objects and putting our own sounds within Scratch so we can create animations, right? So the animations are sort of bland within Scratch unless we actually put some background music to it. So that's sort of what we're going to be focusing on today, all right? So, sort of just a small refresher for you. So this is the Scratch UI environment. Over here is the actual game or environment that the avatar or the sprite is interacting with. So for right now, I'm just going to go to backdrops, which is over here on the bottom right hand side, and I'm going to put in a new backdrop. Forgive me, my computer's a little slow with all of this. Okay, awesome. So we're going to use Castle 3. Now, a couple things just to remember. When we're working with the sprites, remember, this isn't just a backdrop, but this is technically an X and Y coordinate system. So if you're ever wondering where your sprite is, as soon as you move your sprite over, these numbers should actually move. So depending on where they are on the XY axis, right now, this sprite is over here at -59 and -56, which means that they're on the left and southern end of your backdrops. So we're going to start off Scratch right over here. And if we notice that there's a -131 and -115, which is going to be his starting position. So whenever we do Scratch programming, we definitely want to have a reset code built in so that whenever the user hits the green flag or the start button, we want to make sure that the sprite starts back over in this position. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put an event in here when the green flag is clicked. So when I drag this right over, again, forgive me, my computer's a little slow. There we go. When the green flag is clicked, I only need one iteration of that, we are going to make sure we go to position -131 and -115. Now, for this particular animation, we're going to make it pretty simple. We just want the avatar or the sprite to move from here to down the hall. So the final position that we want the cat to be in is right over here. Now, when we move the sprite, remember, these numbers update. Okay, so it's 199 now, -21. So we're now on the positive side of X and still a little bit below the positive side of Y. We're still -21. So we're going to use these options right here, which is the glide to this position. So as you notice, as we move this sprite, these numbers actually update over here. So that's a really nice feature, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start over at that left position, and then we're going to take, we'll say 5 seconds to glide over to that position. So if we were to actually run this script, take a second, there we go, Scratch the cat moves over. So every time we click the green flag, he takes 5 seconds to move over to that right-hand side. Great. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at some of the sound objects. Okay, the sound objects, or the sound library over here, is where we're actually going to include our background music. All right, so I already chose some background music, which is actually on my desktop right now. So within the sprite script over here, we're going to use, go to the Sounds tab, which is right here. And right now, what we have loaded in is a meow sound, so it's pretty great. Okay. If we go over here on the bottom left-hand side, let me move this over so you can see. Okay, so if we go over here on the bottom left-hand side where it says choose a sound, we have a few different options. We can actually record our own sounds, which is really cool, or we can upload a sound. So like I said, I have a file ready to go over here. So I'm just going to click on that comp file. And now here is my music that I pre-recorded with Soundtrap or whatever DAW I used before. Here is my music. Great. The cool thing about this is that we can actually edit this up. So if it's a little bit too long of a clip, I can actually just highlight a portion of this that I want to use. Okay, so I actually just want to use the front portion. This is about a 4-minute song. I only need about this much. Okay, we can also copy this to new. Oh, right now it's saying that my project could not save. That's totally fine. We'll try again in a second, and it should save up. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to copy this to a new project, or excuse me, a new clip over here. So now this clip is actually the edited portion that I highlighted previously. So if I didn't want to use the whole song, I can now have that edited portion. The other cool thing is that we can actually do a little bit of effects processing down here on the bottom side of this clip. So we can actually So I kind of like it the way it is there. We can also make it softer. We can have it fade in. We can make it have like a robot sound. So if you're actually doing some live dialogue along with this, we can really do some interesting things with some of the small effects processing that we have under here. But that's all we need for right now. I'm actually going to go ahead and rename this. So I can either rename it right over here. And I'm going to call this the background clip. So now that I know this is the actual clipped background sound. All right, let me go back into the coding. So now that we've actually done the clipping and imported the other audio, we now notice that that audio is available in the library now. So if we click over here, we now see that there's the meow, which was previously already in the library, plus the Final Comp 2, which was the name of the file. That's the 4-minute version. And then we have that background clip. So now we have a few different options for what we can choose for our background audio. So I'm just going to choose this background clip for right now. Now there's two important distinctions between the play sound until done and the start sound background clip. And those distinctions are, if you were to play your sound until done, putting that in your script will actually keep it going, and it will not allow your script to do anything below that. Okay? So it's going to play this whole entire sound until it's done, and then it'll continue on with the script. Versus if you wanted to just start the sound, what this is going to do is it's just going to make the clip go and then continue on. So it's basically just like a trigger that will trigger the clip and then continue on with the script, where this one, it's almost like a hold. So I'll show you what this means. So since I'm playing this clip right here, what would happen is it's going to wait until the clip is done to do the reset and then the glide. So as we can hear, nothing's moving right now until we actually start that, or the clip is finished. So if I was to put that start sound now, what's going to happen is it's going to trigger the clip and then restart to the 131, 115, and then glide. Okay, so that's a very important distinction between the start sound and then the play sound until done. However, now that we have that script going, we have a few different things that we can do with it. We can actually change the pitch by an effect of some sort, say by 10, or we can make it go higher or lower. So effect of 10 would actually make this awesome. However, once you separate this, that pitch should go back to normal. If not, we have to use this thing called the clear sound effect. So technically what we did was we affected the sound. It's not a traditional sound effect where it's like laser beams and stuff going all over the place, right? This is more of like how we're going to affect the sound. So if we want to not affect the sound, we're going to have to clear all those sound effects so that it plays the original. So this is now going to be part of our reset code at the start. We're going to clear sound effects, and then we're going to go to that very specific spot. Some of the other things that we can do is we can actually change the panning from left to right by an effect of 10 or negative 10. So if you want to go right, it would be plus. If you want to go left, it would be negative on this. We can also change the volume, and we can also set the volume. So changing the volume will change it in an incremental manner, or we can just set it to a very specific point. Say, for example, we only wanted to have this clip play, that's very loud, at 60%, and it's going to be a much lower volume than it to be at 100%. So I usually put that in the code itself here. So I'm going to clear the sound effect first. I'm going to set the volume to 60%, right? So if I had the volume at anywhere else, 123%, doesn't matter. I'm going to clear all that, and I want to reset the volume to 60%. I'm going to go to this position right over here, and I'm going to play that background clip. Once that background clip starts, then we're going to glide. I'm going to make it a little bit more ominous. It's going to take 20 seconds to go from negative 131, negative 115 to plus 199 and 121. So it's going to take about 20 seconds to go from here to here. And that animation is going to be a little bit more ominous. It's going to sound actually pretty cool. Set. Cool. So maybe after we glide there for 20 seconds, we could have him enter a new room, right? So let's I don't know. Let's find another room over here. Maybe the room is going to be this castle. Okay. So now once he gets to the end of that room, here's the new background, right? So once we finish that 20 seconds, we kind of need a secondary reset, right? Because now we're changing the background and he's going to be in a different position. So let's just do this. Let's go to looks, and we're going to switch the background to Castle 3, which is where we are right now, which means that we need to set the background when the green flag is clicked to Castle 2. So now we need to start adding to our reset code. So we're now going to switch to, Castle 1 was the name of that backdrop. So if I look at the stages, it's going to take a second to get over there. Come on. There we go. Okay, so Castle 1, was this door thing, but we're going to start here at Castle 3. So I need to actually program all of that. So let me go to Scratch the Cat. Okay, so we're going to start at Castle 3, which is this over here. Scratch the Cat will clear the sound effect, change the volume to 60%, go to that particular point, play the background clip, and then glide to that position 20. Once we get there, we're going to switch to that Castle 1, which is that door thing, right? And now I need to actually switch the position of Scratch, because if I don't, he's going to be over here, like in the wall. So what I actually need to do is I need to sort of put him back over here. Once I drag him over, we notice that we are changing our XY value. So once we do that, I just go to my motion, and I'm going to then, once we switch that backdrop, I'm going to make sure that Scratch the Cat then goes to this negative 129, negative 129 on the XY value. So it's sort of like he entered a new room and now it's another cutscene and he's over here. And we can have him glide to another spot if we want to, right? So let's have him glide to, so once that number's in there, we don't have to mess around with it. Let's have him glide here and try to like maybe start to peek out, okay? And we're going to change that glide to about 5 seconds to that position. Now let's see our little animation. So it should reset to the other backdrop, do its sequence, and once it gets to that 99, negative 21, it'll switch the backdrop, and then start along with the second animation. All at the same time playing the same background clip. Awesome. So that's a pretty basic way of syncing up, well, I should say, of just putting background music into your animation. If we really wanted to sync this up a little bit more, what we could say is, okay, our animation is about 20 seconds for Scratch the Cat to go from one point to the other, and then we switch, right? What we could do is time our music so that that background clip has a dramatic change 20 seconds in. So if we go to sounds over here and we go to that final comp and we just start playing. Now this is the problem with Scratch, is that we don't quite have a good timer, right? So we'd have to sort of like count it out. And we could make this a little bit slower. And that would slow down the ability for the clip to then catch up, so that at that 20 seconds, we could flip that backdrop and it would kind of be a little bit more dramatic, right? So that's another way that we can use some of the Scratch built-in sound effects and sound clips to sort of really work with our animations. Or we can just keep the music the way it is and we can adjust the animation timing to that as well. So it really does depend on what your project and what your whole entire part or your what am I trying to say? It really just does depend on what your animation and your song really is and what your workflow is. So whether you want to write the music for the animation, so that's almost like an audio for film type of, workflow. Or if you're doing the animation post writing the music, then it's more of like a video, a music video. So, again, both ways will work. I think the most important thing to sort of take away from this video is that, timing your background changes and understanding the difference between the start sound and the play sound until done is how it's going to affect whatever animations you're doing there. So thanks again. So this is one of the first tutorial videos for the AudioPod. Check us out on all social media platforms. We're all over the place. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, all at TheAudioPod. If you're on Facebook, check out our page at TheAudioPod.com. And we have a lot of YouTube pages as well. If you'd like to support the podcast, feel free to visit Patreon.com/TheAudioPod. As well as we have podcasts and blogs. So check out www.theaudiopod.com. Thank you very much, everybody. This is a blast. I will talk to you later.